Yo, what's up, everybody? I wanted to come on here real quick. So I just did this really interesting eval. It takes a lot to stump me, but this guy, I'm sitting there for like the first 10 minutes, like what? You know? So his symptoms were basically pain here, all in here, and then sometimes comes down the arm, numbness, and sometimes pain in the arm all the way down into here on both sides, right? He's been to orthopedics, basically was dismissed with, he says I was dismissed, basically gave me anti-inflammatories, told me to go to physical therapy, with PT, chiropractic, massage, whatever, to no avail. So I'm like, what is this, So anyway, so I get in there, I'm like, all right. So I do a NIRS test and it's positive. I relocate it, push it back and down, boom, it's gone. That relieved the pain here that he had. Okay, so he definitely has rotator cuff impingement syndrome. And the numbness, I said, do you wake up and your hand is numb? He said, yeah. And I'm like, all right. So I tested him for, thoracic outlet syndrome. He has it in the scalenes and the pecs, and that caused the numbness, reproduced the numbness. But I said, does that cause that sensation that you got in here and under here? And he said, no. He says, so I'm checking him for nerve entrapment, right? He's like, no, that's, that made it feel a little better, but it's still there, and that's not the pain, or that's not the symptoms, right? He goes, but nobody can figure this out for me, right? So I'm all in because I like a good challenge. I love a good puzzle, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, so I'm trying to reproduce this thing, right? So I have seen in my career people that get, they have herniated discs and they get like sensation all in around their shoulder. And in fact, a lot of times it's diagnosed as a shoulder issue. So anyways, I said, okay, look, I started explaining to him, I'm like, rotator cuff impingement syndrome, I'm not worried about. It usually takes about 5 weeks or so. Thoracic outlet syndrome, I'm not worried about. Usually takes about 5 weeks or so. I did a compression test, which I don't even like that test, but I was trying to figure this out. So I did a compression test and he felt to come down his arm. So I'm like, I think you got a disc issue going on in there, but it's non-traumatic. He doesn't know how he did it, So anyway, so I'm like, I think you got a disc issue going on there, and I have seen it present, kind of in and around the shoulder area, and he said to me, I put on a posture brace and it made it feel better temporarily, but when I took it off, the pain came back. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I do think you, without MRI vision, I do think that you have a herniated disc in your neck, but I think, I said that, so what we have to do is fix your posture. So all this stuff about posture doesn't matter. And, the evidence shows this. All the evidence is wrong, by the way. We can go through it. We can go through, therapeutic ultrasound and the evidence that showed that it worked and now, doesn't work, traction, core stabilization, everything shows it works, doesn't work. This posture stuff will be proven wrong too, I predict one day. So this guy says, when I fix my posture, it feels better. I'm like, great, that's what we were gonna do anyways, is strengthen and stretch muscles and, fix your posture, as well as address rotator cuff impingement syndrome, as well as address thoracic outlet syndrome. So that was a key indicator that with what I'm about to do, would it make him feel better? Which is shoulders back and down for the rest of his life, stretch, strengthen, and put him on my shoulder neck protocol. And so that is a key indicator that what I'm about to do would help him. Anyways, it's really interesting. It takes a lot. Usually I know what's wrong with you in the first 10 seconds you open your mouth. Just intuitively, I've been doing this for long enough. But this guy almost got me. Anyways, I do think that if you get an MRI of his neck, that it'll show it, but, show a herniated disc, but it's not going to change the way that I treat him, Anyways, it's really interesting. I figured I'd come on and share it with you. All right, peace. Love you all.